Hi there and welcome back to Japan and to our reaction and review of Forget Me Not, the new at the current moment song by BRATS. As always, this is the review video. Check out the reaction video if you want to by pausing this video, clicking the little link in the description below that opens up a separate little YouTube player where you can see the reaction in case you haven't heard the song or you just want to see how I reacted when I first heard it. Otherwise, here comes the review. So are you ready? Do you need to pause this first? Do you need a little bit of time to check out that reaction? Good. No. Don't say I didn't warn you. Here comes the review. So, spoiler alert. This was actually, it was weird. In some ways, it was not what I expected at all, which is always great. That's always what you're looking forward to. And yet, some ways, it carried forward some qualities that I really enjoyed. I really should check out, I think the previous song I heard by them, I'm going to just be on my phone checking it out at the same time. I think it was called No More, No More. I think it's very irrelevant for this review that I find that out. And as always, we never edit anything on this channel. So I will be checking that while I talk to you right now. But the previous song that I heard by them certainly had an element that I can see why some people in our Discord were not so keen on it, in that it was going for a very heavy impact. It felt like it was kind of like one of those songs that has like a heavy element, but at the same time has pop value. It was, it was anthemic, high impact, headbanger. Yeah, No More, No More is the song I was thinking of. So, No More, No More had that feeling. But like I say, it lacked nuance and it was so direct in its approach that I could see it becoming irritating. I have, ironically, not listened to that song as many times subsequently as I expected to, although I have heard it a few times. And like I say, when I was on our Discord talking to people about the latest releases from BRATS, there was this kind of air of, that song gets irritating if you listen to it too much, which is a shame because I really like it. I like the impact, I like the feel of it, but I do totally sympathize. So when I went into this song, I was intrigued because the initial stuff, the older stuff that we heard by BRATS, certainly a lack of nuance was not something I would ever have accused them of. Not to say they were the most technical or twiddly band or anything like that, because you can't go too far the other way after all. But they sounded like detail. There was something in the rawness that you could feel a lot of detail. So I was wondering, is tonally that something that goes across all the songs alongside No More, No More? And what I really liked about this is it walked that line perfectly. It was at its core very simple. The main riff of which the whole song was kind of building and deviating away from in various ways was very simple, just kind of like a two-chord shuffle pretty much. It was very, very simple. But there was a lot of nuance in the way that they did it, a lot of nuance, especially in the arrangement. And I mean that in a sort of the way that things went along, but actually also in the layering. Because, like I say, immediately from the get-go, you have that weird sort of like saw synth doing like a siren. Vocal representations of music, always genius. That was really good. It was a nice counter. I had pointed out before that one of the bands who I grew up with, probably no one who likes BRATS is also a fan of this band, but I grew up listening to a lot of a band called Everclear, and that was a technique that one of those bands who, when you grow up and you look back at them, you kind of go, okay, I can see that maybe you weren't as great as I thought you were at the time, even if I still love their music. But I could see musically, you could see that there was a lot of techniques they fell back on. And this was one that they did a lot. They had a song, one of their most famous songs was a song called Everything to Everyone, which worked on the same thing. You just got one instrument doing a sort of like a siren-like noise. And just by doing that simple repeated up-down scale octave thing, what it does is it gives a weird sort of counter to everything else that happens, because you're constantly being reminded of the key of the song, and so you feel everything moving around that. Kind of hard to explain, but I think maybe if you know your music, you probably know what I'm saying about here. You're kind of reminded of the key of the song as it goes, the tonic of the song's marked out. What was intriguing about this for me there is that it started immediately with that synth in there, and that synth gave you something to sort of hear the rest of the song working around, and suddenly everything sounded thicker and it sounded good, and the guitar sounds were nice and thick but not intrusive. There was room for the drums cut through. Production, actually, the production and mixing on this was really great. I have to give it to them as well. That kind of helped the song stand out, as I think it did for No More, No More as well. These two songs have been really well sort of mixed, I'd say, at least. Produced maybe also. The production's been fairly simple, but it's been good. Very good at giving it a sort of a very rounded sound, at least. So you start off with the fact that everything sounds thick and engaging and atmospheric as well. It really sort of charges into your ears. And then what happens is as the song progresses, it goes through certain bits which come back up, but it's just nice how it breaks. It has little steps to one side, little pre-chorus bits which just come in and come out, the way that the riff appears and goes away, the way that everything moves along. It's not just, here's like, let's have 16 bars of verse, and then 8 bars of chorus, and then 16 bars of verse, and then 8 bars of chorus. Yes, it did basically have the verse, chorus thing going on, but it took little side steps, like I say, little pre-choruses. It took you in interesting directions. It wasn't just a lame duck. It wasn't predictable. And I think that's something that you maybe could accuse No More of doing. In its simplicity, it was very, very predictable. Impactful, but predictable. This was impactful, but also felt a little bit like it was keeping you on your toes, keeping you on edge. It felt like one of the words I once heard in a review, and I think this is really a relevant word for rock. The more angry the rock, the more this is important, is urgency. Something that a band can lose a lot, especially as they get richer and get older, dare I say, is a band can lose a sense of urgency, and that can come across in the music if there isn't that feeling of passion. This song, more than No More, which again I really liked, this song had a feeling of urgency. It felt like it was being played by a band who really wanted to play it. That it felt like it was a song that has to happen. Because they were shoehorning in all these little ideas in the writing. So yeah, to me, I just liked it. It had a good catchy chorus as well. Again, not like sort of break the charts catchy, but certainly damn good for what it needed to be. Good arrangement, good flow, moved beautifully, I'd say, like I say, the only thing is that because it came in so powerful from the get-go and kind of didn't let up and was just bam, bam, bam all the way through, that meant it had nowhere to go. This is something that I have noticed on BRATS songs before, is that they sometimes come in with so much energy that they don't give themselves any way to build up from that. That's fine, but if you're going to do that, you've got to keep the song at a decent length. I think this was just about as long as it could have been. I don't think, if this had been even 15 seconds longer, I think it would have started to grate a bit. I think it was just at the maximum end of how long it could be, because you want it to be if you're going to be blasting all cylinders, it needs to be a short blast, or it just feels like everything starts to lose its impact. So for me that was the nearest point it came to having a problem, but not really so much of an issue. The video was decent. It was kind of like it was effective. I mean, didn't have any failings of trying to be too artsy or trying to do slow-mo frames. I hate when I do slow-mo frames in anything that sounds even semi-urgent, because it sucks the pace out of it. It felt like it was in keeping with the song, although visually it was like, we've all seen this before. Did get a little bit just cliche at points. Don't know why you've got the crosses on the ground and seemingly rugs laid out to portray graves. Don't know, some imagery going on in there. Didn't really hit. But basically the video served its purpose, which is great. It didn't work against the song. That's the cardinal sin, when your video works against the feeling, movement, motion, the impact of the song. It didn't do that. So fine. You can kind of take it or leave it. I really enjoyed this. So between this and No More, I really like the feel of what I'm getting from their new material. If this is a demonstration of the balance, you got this as a more sort of urgent sounding song, and you got something a little bit more anthemic in No More. I wonder overall how the EP plays out, and maybe I should dive and give it a little listen and give it my thoughts on the full EP, give it a review. So I've got hiccups now, been talking too much. So anyway, as always, I'm going to round it off there by saying it's time for you to talk to me now. As always, worked with music my entire adult life, but my opinions are just subjective opinions of a listener after all. I try to justify them so that you can get in there, tell me why you agree or disagree, and justify your opinions as well. So I am looking forward to seeing what you guys think of this. Like I said, really interesting one. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. Not what I expected in some ways, and yet capitalising on what I do expect from BRATS in other ways, in other good ways. So let me know what you think. Get in the comments, like and subscribe if you don't mind. If you want to get more involved in talking to other people who are into Japanese music, remember we've got all our social medias linked in the description below, and we've got a good community on here. People are really active. The number of our subscribers who are talking day and night on social media is pleasingly high. So feel free to get involved in all of that. A big thank you as always to our patrons for keeping the channel afloat, as you do so well, honestly. We're unmonetized channel, as you guys know also. So a big thank you to them, and thank you to you for making it through to the end of this video. So until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, gracias. Don't know if I even pronounced that right. But more importantly, ciao ciao.